Well, good morning. Or evening, or whatever. Um, Today I want to talk about secrets to happy marriage. We're going to look at 6 specific things that will help you to have a happier and more fulfilled marriage. Number one, uh, why does my wife nag if I could just get her to shut up? Okay, here's the thing. Nagging is really for your best benefit. And you might say, well, why? It annoys the hell out of me. Well, here's the thing. Women do this thing where they see the best you that you could be and say nag you about it. Because what happens is men find themselves in this place of just, we get into ruts of doing the same thing over and over again, and we like it that way. Like, take for instance sex. We do this, and we do this, and we do this, and we're done. We do this, and so what I mean is we like our routines, we like our schedules. We like, for instance, we get up in the morning, we go to work, we come home, we watch TV, we go to sleep. And you see what I mean? We like our schedules, we like our things, right? But that doesn't really work, see, because that means that our wife is dealing with the kids all day. That she never gets out. She never gets any romance. She never gets anything for her. So this causes a little bit of an emotional problem for her, and it comes out through nagging. Men who push themselves to be the best version and speak the language of love that their wife speaks, giving their compliments, giving them gifts. These are people who find that their wives don't nag them. And so in our minds we think something along the lines of this. If I do that, then she'll get spoiled and expected. We would never think that, would we? I'm thinking about a few stories in my head. I won't share them. Anyways, well, if I ask her opinion, she'll think that she's my boss, and I'll have to always go to her about everything. You're kind of looking at the whole thing wrong. I mean, you're supposed to be, one flesh. So, when women see that we are doing things that are causing big problems, it comes out in nagging. And oftentimes they won't nag us for the root cause, they'll nag us for how it comes out. Like, for instance, let's say we're being lazy. Why do you always leave your shoes around? Why don't you ever help me with this? Why don't you finish that project that you started forever ago? Why don't you see? I mean, it's how that problem is coming out. Women have just this way of wanting us to be the best version of us that we can be, and so they nag to help us. And so if we would stop and just listen for 5 seconds, not only would she be a lot happier and nag less because you're listening to her, and she would feel more loved and that kind of stuff, but also it would give us the ability to see our weak areas. I didn't realize that was a weak area. See what I mean? So, number 1, nagging is for your benefit. Number 2, accept her for who she is. Sometimes we get married, and women do this too. You get married and you already have a game plan of who you want them to be. They need to be like this in the bed. They need to be like this when we're having sex. They need to make me feel like this in the mornings and wake me up with kisses or whatever. Everybody has their own idea of, if I could just change that. And there's going to be things that irritate you about your spouse. Accept them for who they are. Maybe your spouse is a messy person. Accept them. But I'm the one who cleans all day. Okay, all right. Maybe you need to have a conversation about, you two both doing things to help each other, and not doing things to try and irritate each other. Absolutely. But at the same time, saying, well, I'm OCD and they just need to change. Well, maybe you need to change and not be OCD all the time. See what I mean? Like, it could go either way. And before you say, oh, well, this guy isn't the clean one, let me just stop you right there. I am the clean freak, and my wife is not at all. So I'm speaking here from experience, and absolutely accept her for who she is. It took us years of being married before I could accept her. I grew up watching porn. It shaped my idea of how women acted and how sex was supposed to be and stuff. And so there was this constant problem. My wife was never skinny enough, never pretty enough, never did the right things, never dressed the right way. It was always something. And it didn't matter how much she changed, it was never enough. Because the problem was me. See what I mean? So number 2, accept her for who she is. And this is where the problem comes in, is we see someone else and we say, that is what I was wanting my wife to be, and my wife isn't trying. And so then we start pursuing that other person. But here's the thing. Number one, it takes just as much work to pursue that other person as it does to heal your own marriage. Number two, everything looks good from a distance. So, number one was nagging is for your benefit. Number two is accept her for who she is. Number three, don't try to change her. And you might say, that's real close to the other one. Yeah, it is, but it's slightly different. The number two was more focused on, you're accepting her for who she is. You are accepting that she will likely be this person for forever, and that's just how she acts, and that's just who she is, and you're actively accepting her. Number three is you are actively not trying to change her. So they're related, but they are separate. So when you see, okay, well, I want my spouse to do this or to do this, and women do this a lot. They think that who they marry is somehow they're going to be able to change them, and it's like, that's not really how the real world works. I mean, you won't. You can try it, but it's not really going to work. Number four, I guess. Yeah, four. And this is something that is, once again, these 2, 3, and 4 are extremely, really closely related, but they're different aspects of the same problem. So number 4, they aren't going to change, except that the person you married is the person you married. Sometimes people will change in minor things, They'll learn to put their shoes up. They'll help out with the dishes or something, or whatever, But ultimately, who you married is who you got. If they're stubborn, they're going to be stubborn. You'd be surprised how many times this comes up in counseling. Like, oh, well, they're doing this. It's like, well, that's the exact same thing that they were doing when you got married. Like, what are you expecting to have happened? Like, sometimes we just get frustrated because we couldn't change somebody. Number 5, love is not dependent on getting what you want. Love is about showing the other person unconditional love, where you accept them where they are and you make motions to try and make them feel loved and validated. And that's just what you do. Like, it's not, okay, well, you did something for me, now I'm going to do something for you. Oh, well, I just don't know if I can stay faithful to my wife because, she's not even trying. It doesn't matter what she's doing. Love is not dependent on what she is doing. And then number 6, you do annoying things too. Sometimes we are masters of picking all the irritating things that our spouses do. They do this wrong, they do this wrong, they do this wrong, they do this wrong. Stop and realize that you do annoying things too. You are not the perfect spouse. Hate to rip that Band-Aid off. So maybe try and work on being a better spouse. And open up communication between you and your spouse, and who knows, they might actually just try to start putting forth as much effort as you do. Now, I do need to say, though, that no marriage is going to have a perfect 100% equivalent. Like, I give 100 and they give 100. No, it's not going to happen. There's going to be times when they're in a slump, and they're going to either give nothing or even take away. And there's going to be times when you're not going to do that great at pouring into them. And so what we do is we think, okay, so I'll make sure this doesn't happen. I'll make sure that I tell them something nice, say something nice to them every single day. And then you find out that doesn't mean anything to them. What they really want is for you to just spend time with them. So then you spend time with them. And then you realize, well, that's not really what they want. See what I mean? Your spouses are all different. And you have to find out what your spouse wants and then find a way to connect with them on their level. I hope that kind of makes sense. So, okay,